What's up? Okay, so today I'm gonna go through 4 tips that I give posing clients that help, tips, cues, whatever you wanna call them, that help my girls visualize where they need to be in their bikini routine so that they can, because if you visualize it, to me at least, and to them, it really helps, the cues really help for them to visualize what they're supposed to be doing before they even do it. So I can replay this over and over in my head, right? When I have cues. But if I just tell you to hit a front pose, you don't know what to do. But if I tell you where your feet, where your toes need to be pointed, where your knees need to be pointed, where your hips need to be pointed, where your shoulders need to be, the cues, that helps me and that helps them. So that's what this is gonna be. So the 4 top tips for bikini athletes to pose in their posing routine and through their transitions. Okay, my first one is find your center place. So this really helps me, and so for me personally, my center place is gonna be here. And this is something that when I'm on stage and they're moving us around, they're in comparisons, or even when I first walk out on stage, before I hit my front pose, I don't walk out and go straight into my front pose. I walk out and I hit this center pose, and this just helps me always come back to this pose and know where to go from here, right? So if I'm in it, and when we're in comparisons, I'll step back here. Here I am. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna switch positions with people, whoever I need to, and I'm gonna hit this, and then I'm gonna hit my front pose, wherever I am on stage, right? So having that center position, if you wanna call it, helps me, again, just to get here, and then I know exactly where to go from here to get into whatever pose I need to get into based on what is going on stage. Because as you know, if you've competed, you get up there and people everywhere. Sometimes it's like nobody has any idea where anybody's going. So the expediters are telling you where to go. But again, I just like to have this center place, and that's the best word I can put at it, or call it, to go so that I mentally can be where I need to be, and then I go and I'm now physically where I need to be, right? So that's number 1. Find your center position that helps you get into the posture and the pose that you need to go into next. Okay, number 2, keep your toes and your hips in alignment, period, right? So, and what I mean by that is, so when you're in your front pose, you go into your front pose, your hips are pointed this way, your toes are pointed this way, your knees are driving over your toes, right? But more so, your hips and your toes are going in the same direction. Your toes are not here and your hips are not here. You're not opening up to the judges. It's a lot simpler if you think of your hips and your toes, both of them going the same place, right? So when you go to transition into the back pose, or into your S pose, your hips do not move, just your toes. So, or just your feet. So you're here, and you pick up and you pop up on this toe, and this is where you're gonna transition into your back pose. But again, my hips have never left this one place. So your hips and toes are pointed in the same direction in this position, in this front pose, right? And then when you transition, your hips stay here. The only thing that changes is your feet, and you're here. So this, even where your shoulders are as you transition into this S pose, does not change. Hips do not change. The only thing that changes is your feet. And it goes into this T, okay? So you're here. And then transitioning back here. Okay, so hips and toes in the same direction as you transition into your S pose. Hips do not change. So it does not, that just prevents you from opening up towards the judges, turning too much. If I think of my hips not moving, then I can sit here and practice this all day. Right? From here to here. From here to here. And you're in the right position. Okay, number 3. Visualize a small box with your feet. So I have on my YouTube channel, I call it the foot routine. And that routine, that's where I get clients to start. If they can get there, because everything's gonna come from your feet. If your feet are not in the right places, then your hips are not gonna be, core is not gonna be, your shoulders are not gonna be. So literally just focus on getting this foot routine down, and everything else will follow. So what I mean by a small box though, is, so we're just looking at our feet, right? So here, and when we're going now into our back pose, so we're gonna transition from the front to the back. So we're gonna step together. I almost feel like I'm stepping on myself sometimes. I'm not, so don't do that. Don't step on yourself, but you wanna feel like you're pretty dang close. So you step back, and then you're now shift of weight from left to right. That's the name of the game. So now you're here, weight is on this foot, shift of weight here, weight on this foot, but again, small box, shift of weight to the back foot here, and then the same thing goes on when you're circling around on the front. So here, see how small my feet are? They're almost, again, stepping on each other, here, and then back here, and so that's, everybody's front, or back to front is gonna be different, same thing from front to back. That was when I just got off the phone with one of my clients. That was her way. So I usually swing the other way, but we were practicing her way, so I did pretty good, actually. So my point is when so this is what she was doing before today. So she would step here, she would step here, and then she would turn all the way around in one turn, going back into her front pose. So that's too big of a turn, too big of a motion with your feet. So if you think of your feet staying in a small box, you're not going to turn from, let's just say here, all the way around here. That would be a good example, right? This would be a good example. So this is where some girls, too big of a step. So when you're in your S pose here, and then you turn all the way around to your back pose from this pose, rather than this one small movement before, right? Instead of doing that, they go from here all the way around to here. Don't do that. That's just too big of a movement, and you lose control. The bigger the movement, and the bigger your steps, the more uncontrolled you're going to be, more imbalanced you're going to be, and they're going to see that. So when you're here, it's always just a small step, right? So you turn here, and you shift here, and then however you turn to come back, whatever that is, whatever that looks like, the biggest thing is your feet stay pretty dang close together. Okay, and then the fourth tip, and this is a big tip. So let me get some water. Okay. The biggest thing that causes you to one, be off balance or to not have the correct posture or correct pose that you want to have is because you pivot on your toe through your transitions rather than picking your feet up. So one of the exercises I get my girls to do is literally they have to pick their feet up. So it's very simple. So you're here and you're pick it up, place it. Place your toe where you want it to be. Place your foot where you want it to be, rather than going from here. Now I'm just pivoting on this toe, pivoting like I'm playing basketball. You're playing basketball. I'm playing bikini, right? So pick your foot up here, but go ahead and make it like overemphasize that pickup during practice, so that because when you get out on stage, you're most likely gonna pivot. You want to not, but maybe you'll just kind of pick it up a little bit and move it, right? So get in the habit of overthinking, and it also helps you gain control of your core. It also helps you stay centered where you need to be, because obviously you got to be centered on one foot, or be like in control on one foot. So pick it up, come back, pick it up here, drop your hands up here, and again, we're not doing that on stage, but that's going to help us get where we want to get on stage. So okay, those are my 4 tips. So find your center, number 1. Again, mine's here. Yours can be something else. Align your hips and your toes, definitely in your front pose, and just keep your hips are always. Think about it, you never want the judges to see this back hip bone. That if you never do that, if they never see this back hip bone, that means you're never opening up towards them, right? So let that be a cue. Visualize your feet in a small box, never stepping out. So this goes with everything in life, really. When you walk, when you train, the center of your body is like a center line, right? And the more you step out, even whenever you walk, the bigger your steps, the more not balanced you're gonna be. So small steps. And pick up your feet whenever you I thought somebody had called me. Pick up your feet whenever you're transitioning, just so that you get out of the habit of pivoting on your toe, because you'll pivot and it's gonna be here, or it's gonna be too far. Your foot is gonna be too far. So get in the habit of picking your foot up and intentionally placing it where you want it to go, so that your pose is exactly what you want it to be when you're on stage. So, okay, I hope this helps. Let me know if it helped, and I'll do some more.